Rumble, of course. We will unpause and then repause. Lots of good news today. TGIF, we are on P. Diddy sentencing watch, actually, which means I want something live over there. Diddy, Sean Diddy Combs. We'll see if we can get any actual live updates there without audio. It's probably a good idea. Most of the time it tries to autoplay various videos. Haha, but I've got my audio off, so it doesn't really matter. We'll refer to that. If you see anything like on the boob tube or something about the P. Diddy verdict, I would like to talk about that as well, assuming that it happens during the live stream. There's a reason that I'm going live a little bit early today. But we've got all sorts of other stuff to talk about. Pope Leo, the Catholic Pope, blessing a chunk of iceberg, actually, a chunk of glacier from Greenland, and then rambling about climate change and how we've got to be God's stewards and stuff like that. I would challenge him to tell Catholics they should go plant a tree and pick up trash just one day out of the year. That would be more meaningful than blessing a magical iceberg. So, yeah, there's a little bit of NIMBYism there. We see this often from the Vatican. Trump has now come out in full support of CBD as a medical option for certain complaints. I've used CBD-infused materials before. You can get them easily over in the Netherlands, and they do work. They are not psychotropic in nature. You're not going to get high by putting CBD rub on your feet or on your joints or anything like that. And it smells good. So, you can't go wrong with that. Some of these things that people smear all over themselves, they smell like the Crypt Keeper or something like that. And researchers urge caution. We'll be getting into the pharmaceutical connection on that one. Venezuela says it detected 5 U.S. combat planes flying at 75 kilometers from its coast and calls it a provocation, despite the fact that that's over international waters and not in their territorial waters, so no reasonable nation would consider it to be a provocation. This happens all the time. Every major air power in the world seems to engage in this kind of behavior. Russia does, the U.S. does, China certainly does, etc. Happens all the time. It's fairly routine. But they're going to find any way to commie bitch to other people. There's also a story. Apparently, the Jack Daniels distillery had been giving its waste grain, like grain slop, to local farmers for the last 45 years for free. And this has set up a little bit of a conundrum in my mind and in the minds of many others, because on the one hand, anything that helps farmers, that's good. On the other hand, you were told 4 years ago that this was going to end anyway, and you can't really, you're going to force the Jack Daniels distillery to give away the grain slop for free when it can contract with somebody else that'll actually pay them for the material. That would be bad commerce. It wouldn't make much sense. So, again, another nuanced take. Wikipedia censorship, we'll put that in focus. Also juxtaposed with Grokpedia, which we're hoping will be better. Of course, one of the founders of Wikipedia has come out and castigated his former company and said, look, the original goal of this was to be a people's encyclopedia in which people could contribute, and hopefully you're working your way towards some true quasi-objective sort of definition of things. Instead, it has become nothing more than an echo chamber and a cesspit. There was the Nirvana Baby lawsuit. You remember the cover of Nirvana's album there from Nevermind with the baby swimming after the dollar? And the dude that was depicted there was trying to claim that it was child porn. The judge tossed out the lawsuit and said, look, this has no merit. I happen to agree with that particular decision. Trump sets Sunday evening deadline for Hamas to agree to a Gaza deal, warning all hell if they don't. We'll get into that as well. So yeah, there's quite a bit. Apocalypse, wow, you should do a vid on Des Moines Superintendent ICE arrested. There's a lot of layers to this story, including the involvement of the school board. I already did a video on the subject, actually. Yes, DHS with Moonman. We've got to get to that first, actually, because the DHS posted a video, and it's considered highly amusing here. They're posting a bunch of, patriotic stuff at the moment, but this one takes the cake. And so we'll get to that first. That's the main story of the day. This sort of delves into both politics and meme culture. So Homeland Security posts this. The future is bright. What is it? It's a bunch of clips from the past from when the United States was fundamentally a more stable country than it is now. Wasn't rocked by the kind of rioting and crap that you're seeing now. Did you have scandals? Yeah. Did you have poverty? Of course. Did you have crime? Yeah, actually, back in the 80s, crime peaked in the United States. Technically, violent crime is considerably more scant now. It's just that it's on the upswing, and a lot of it is politically motivated, and we should be doing everything that we possibly can to reduce it further. I don't think that lowered expectations is really what we need here. But one particular clip that they chose to include, and I have to believe that the intern that put this together, I have no choice but to believe that this was not on purpose, was part of the McDonald's Moonman ad. What do we know about Moonman from the perspective of millennial meme culture? It is associated with the KKK song, and it's associated with, it's got racial overtones. It fits right along with Pepe and stuff like that. You may have seen some of the Moonman memes. Look them up if you don't believe me. They date back quite a few years, and I feel so sorry for people who are too young or weren't, sort of connected to like 4chan culture and stuff like that back in the day when this was a thing. It's pretty funny. I love it. Yeah, DHS is now shitposting. During the shutdown, of course, I'm assuming that whoever posted this wasn't even being paid. They're like, yeah, I'll come into work. That's fine. I'm going to busy myself. Let's make a political ad, which is basically what this is. It's trying to show people, look, this is what it could be like. Happy, smiling people and barbecuing and going surfing and stuff like that. We could have this. We could have nice things, but, we've had problems lately. I thought this was hysterical. It goes beyond that. I mean, you get stuff from like Miami Vice and stuff like that. A lot of it is 80s related, which doesn't surprise me because other than, again, some of the problems, especially in the inner city, the 80s are basically the apex of modern American culture, and things have generally gotten worse since then. The National Razor. Good morning and afternoon. Everyone is sick in the house, so I've been able to watch all of your live shows this week. A miracle. My condolences that they had to get sick before you could watch them. Yeah, this is great. And you should look at the replies, by the way, on this. Links are in the description, by the way. Under the advisement of several viewers, I've decided to put the actual links, mostly archived, unless it's like live video, like a Twitter post or something. I've decided to put them links in the description along with everything else. And some of the replies are more intelligent than others. You can usually tell, by how intelligent it is, what that person's political leanings are at this point. Which is sad, to an extent, I suppose. Apocalypse, wow. Who are the Wikipedia editors? No one knows. Oh, some of them are known. Yeah, I've suggested that they ICQ that biznitch up. What you do is you just overload the site so much they have to protect every article from vandalism, which means that the lay people that also contribute and are allowed to do so because they've got the right opinions will no longer be allowed to do so in many cases. This will then starve the site of attention, and it will drop off in usage, therefore in rankings, and can be displaced more easily. You just got to slam-a-jam them with millions and millions of trolls at the same time. It'll overrun the site. In fact, you could overload it entirely. It wouldn't actually be that difficult. Lemon curd sticks. What happened to the tricorner on the doll's head in the chair? Well, I'm not wearing it right now, so neither is Little Sticks over there. My mini-me. Yeah, you had Stadium Rock and stuff like that. The 80s looked to be a very cool time. I'm sorry that I didn't get to live through them. World must come together to fight climate change, Pope Leo says. There is no room for indifference or resignation, he said, inaugurating an international conference celebrating the 10th anniversary of Pope Francis' encyclical Laudato Si on care for our common home. God will ask us if we have cultivated and cared for the world that he created for the benefit of all and for future generations, and if we have taken care of our brothers and sisters. What will be our answer, he said as he put his hands on a chunk of ice and watched it slowly melt, probably imagining himself to be Voldemort or something like that. This is the same kind of NIMBYist crap, only with the facade, the veil of religion, because the Catholic Church is really nothing more than a money-making endeavor. It's a corporation. They literally own the publishing house that at least at one time was publishing the Satanic Bible. Just to be clear about where their priorities are. Successive Catholic leadership has done stuff like this. It's basically a stunt. Well, we care about climate change, but don't ask us to bend down and plant the tree. Don't ask the Pope to clean up trash or anything over on, Main Street. It's just not going to happen. If you want to get serious about pollution and environmentalist causes and stuff like that, you have to do it the right way. Picking up trash, attempting to reuse things, less materialism, attempting to restrain what you buy and then reusing it if possible, getting rid of all the cheap plastic crap that nobody needs, switching away from that towards wax paper. Why can't we use those old paper cups covered in wax anymore? They're fully biodegradable. Why are we using plastic at all? It's not even necessary. Or just use actual glass. You can reuse that indefinitely as long as you don't shatter it. It's much, much more efficient. In the long term, it's also cheaper. Well, that's the whole point, because then the companies manufacturing them, I guess, make less money. But we're capable of making all of these changes, and people are capable of growing a garden and cutting out the chemicals, going organic. They're capable of making conscious, rational health decisions, so long as they're not getting addled by government and corporate disinformation. They're capable of doing all these wonderful things and raising the efficiency massively. I mean, look at food waste, for example. People cook a great big-ass meal, and then half of it ends up getting tossed. Well, that's not very efficient. That's, by the way, a very decadent thing, limited to the developed and developing world. So not something you're going to see in Malawi very often. So that kind of waste, recycling the stuff that can be recycled and reused, and reducing intake, that's real environmentalism. Putting your hands on a chunk of ice is not environmentalism. How many of the people that attended this conference flew in on private jets, by the way? You think that Arnold, who was there, by the way, do you think that he flew commercial? Yeah, maybe first class, I suppose. It still creates a bunch of emissions. Supposedly, that's the great Satan itself. Well then, lead by example, instead of expecting others to do that which you do not do. Spider Eternal, California driving out companies will have the added benefit of kicking out illegals and H-1Bs that skate by using the state's loose immigration enforcement. I prefer keeping free speech, though. Yeah, I mean, there is one benefit, I suppose. Doc Holiday, on my way to the Ozark Mountains for 3 days of trout fishing. Have a wonderful weekend, Sticks. I'm certainly going to. Make sure to eat well. The National Razor. The 80s were good. I was a tiny kid in the 70s, so I was old enough in the 80s to know what was going on. It was an idyllic childhood. It did live up to the hype. Yeah, I can remember, the mid-90s as a kid. It was still really great. Like, compared to today, I mean, you have computers, but they're not everywhere. People aren't just looking at their smartphones while they're eating dinner with you and stupid shit like that. I hate that, by the way. One of my biggest pet peeves. You'll be, like, at a meal or doing something with someone. They're just on their phone half the time. It's ridiculous. Put it the fuck down, actually enjoy nature and stuff. Spike. Nick Sortor was arrested by Portland PD after being assaulted by Antifa. Portland PD will now be investigated by the Trump DOJ per Bondi. We'll see if anything happens. Don't hold your breath. Just saying. I'm not going to hold my breath on anything related to Pam Bondi. I'm hoping that there will be some sort of resolution because, yeah, I mean, the idea that Nick Sortor was involved in some sort of criminality is ridiculous. Let's get to our sponsors, though, before we continue with the news. We have cultivated-mind.com, where you can get mushroom pills. Yeah, they will boost your speed and agility and so forth. Actually, they do seem to do so. I've had 2 today already, so I don't need to take another. You can take a third. You can do whatever you want. You can take the whole bag, probably, but then you'd probably be up for the next 48 hours. It seems to boost energy. It's definitely neuroregenerative. And then there are doggo snacks that are available now, too. So your pupper can join in on the mushroom fun. 6 dual-activated mushroom extracts, actually. And again, nice soft coat, nice shiny coat. Happy doggo! And they are apparently very tasty. Just ask the doggo in your life. Secondly, we have BiltongUSA.com. Anton can hook you up with all sorts of imported goods, as well as various meats. Wagyu, Angus, Cabanasi, venison, bison. If you like meat, you're going to like Anton. He's going to be your best friend. We've also got Stick, Sex, and Hammer mugs, tumblers, and shirts available. Anytime that Anton is mentioned, we must have some sort of spread. Today's Vegemite Day. It was funny. Saw a meme earlier, actually. I think it was posted on the DHS post. And it looked like they were exactly this bottle of Vegemite, like in a knapsack next to a Pepe. It was pretty funny. And finally, jamandbean.com. That is jamnbean.com. Where you can get Clanker Coffee, the official taste of your morning. Yeah, get some of that caffeine up in you, boy. Also got various other coffees available, and also many teas. Yunnan Jig, Friendship Tea, Jolly Peach, which is really, really great. The Jolly Peach goes well with a little bit of apple cider in it, by the way. Oh, it really kicks it up to another level. Just very mildly sweet with the pear and the apple. It just sort of pairs, pun not intended, pairs very well. That's what I'm talking about. Again, I will never front anything that I do not myself use. I'm thinking maybe some tea tonight. Yeah. Since it's Friday, you know, I can sack out and enjoy myself, listen to some prank calls, and drink tea. Sounds like a perfect evening to me. What can I say? I'm a man of, well, relative wealth and taste. Trump posts video endorsing CBD for seniors. Researchers urge caution. This is the first time that I have seen the liberal legacy media whine about CBD being used. Before it's like, in the drug war, CBD is not even a psychotropic. You are fundamentally correct. But now that Trump is on board with it, all of a sudden, CBD is a big problem. Whoa, slow down, wait. Research isn't really in on whether it's effective or whether it's good for you. Maybe it has adverse health effects. That's interesting. It's been used for many years over in Europe. I've never heard of anyone having a problem with this. That's because it's not even psychedelic in nature. It's CBD oil. It's used for a variety of health ailments, achy joints, for dry skin and things like that. I used it on my feet when I was in the Netherlands because my shoes were wearing out and they got cold and they got sort of battered by this. And I was like, well, you know, that sucks. But then there was a store over in the Centrum, actually, and I can't remember the name of the store, but they had like a CBD sort of cream that you could use. And it felt and smelled really good. And it helped. It really honestly helped. Now, that's a minor medical condition. You can use other moisturizers. But it worked better than, you know, what I had used before. And in some states, I think you can't even get CBD products. It's absolutely ridiculous. The fact that you have Newt Gingrich coming out the other day saying Ibogaine should be given to troops with PTSD, and then Trump at the same time saying, hey, I'm aboard with CBD, and he's been in favor of at least medical marijuana now since the goddamn 2000s, maybe even the 90s. I think it was 2001 or thereabouts when he gave that interview, or 2003, somewhere around there. And he's like, well, you know, I've got friends that have really benefited from it. You know, it's a great thing, so I believe in medical marijuana. He has not stood in the way, in any meaningful sense, of states decriminalizing or legalizing marijuana. He hasn't stood in the way of hemp farming. He hasn't stood in the way of CBD usage. In fact, now he's endorsing it. I would like to point out the hilarious irony. Obama was still raiding dispensaries in Montana and Idaho years and years ago. Supposedly the progressive president that was going to let you do weed LMAO. And now you've got Donald Trump. Supposedly he's a fascist, but he's saying, yeah, use CBD if you want to. That's perfectly fine with me. In fact, I endorse it. I found this so funny. I'm looking through the news. First I see the Newt Gingrich article and I laugh. Then I see this one, I'm laughing even harder. The Republicans apparently are becoming the anti-drug war party. Yep. We've jumped timelines again, everyone. I hate to tell you. We're probably time traveling or something at this point. Alvin Jensen, have you seen the Whitest Kids You Know Halloween sketch? I think it's up your alley. I think I might have, yeah. Ugly Doll, damn, gone from shilling no ads to bending the knee and doing full-on commercials. How gay. Who, me? Those aren't ads, those are sponsors. It's a little bit different. Let me see here. Yeah, no, I take sponsors. I get paid for that. I've been quite open about it. But I only take sponsors whose products I'm actually going to use. Like, I drink the coffee and tea on a regular basis. I happen to like it. I'm not shilling my own brand or anything. It's just something that I happen to enjoy. Same with the mushroom pills. I use them every single day, at least one, usually two. And the doggo snacks really do work. They are in demand. Just ask the doggo that I fed him to. It's like, hey, you're going to scarf down 5 or 6 friggin' bags. Probably go comatose after that. And I eat biltong on the reg. Everyone likes big biltong. I've given biltong to other people, and I've never had anyone say they didn't like it. Also, Anton sent me some of this pineapple jam. I actually had it on some toast earlier. It's really good. It's better than marmalade. It's better than like an orange marmalade. Venezuela says it detected 5 U.S. combat planes flying 75 kilometers from its coast. Calls it a provocation. They were like 40 miles away from the actual territorial waters, though, so there's nothing really legitimate here for Venezuela to complain about. These F-35s have been flying sorties from Puerto Rico now for weeks. And the reason why is they're on the lookout for narco-trafficking. So, a boat comes from Venezuela. It's headed towards the United States mainland. It's clearly carrying drugs. They got intel that it is carrying drugs, and so they simply bullseye it. I have no problem with this. This is not an act of war, unless Venezuela wants to admit that narco-traffickers are part of its war effort or something like that. Or that there's some sort of protected class in Venezuela. If they want to acknowledge that, the U.S. military will have to show more restraint. They'll simply set up at the shorelines, and then they'll detain them once they hit U.S. soil or enter U.S. territorial waters. But what's wrong with bullseyeing a narco ship on international waters? We do that with pirates already. Armady, it sure do be sad. Yeah, your wooden your schooner is not going to last long against an F-35 or something like that. I mean, it is a sad reality. Yes, air beats sea in that particular respect, unless you've got a beefy anti-aircraft defense. I suppose muskets are not going to suffice for that kind of aircraft. Why should I care? Is Venezuela going to say, no, you're not allowed to kill the drug dealers and the gangsters that we're trying to import into your country along with the drugs themselves? That would be an interesting diplomatic pitch. Also, what the hell is anyone else going to do about it? What are you going to do? Are you going to attack the U.S. Air Force or the U.S. Navy in international waters? It means nothing if we blow up a narco ship. It would mean something if you tried to blow up a destroyer or knock an F-35 out of the air, and you'd probably be unsuccessful trying to do so anyway. I'm sorry, but I don't have any sympathy for the drug smugglers. Some of these ships are probably human traffickers, too. Some of these people are involved with things far worse than drugs. I'm anti-drug war. I personally don't care if somebody wants to snort cocaine. I just prefer that it be grown in the United States, where we can do quality control, to make sure it's not shitty coke from Venezuela. Deep Space Doggy Dog, don't take the Antifa bait comments. We all understand you have sponsors. Many of us enjoy them, too, especially the biltong. My wife enjoys the tea. Oh, no, that's not an Antifa comment. I think Ugly Doll even has been commenting for a very long time. It's all good. I like to play it easy, man. Take it easy. Get a joint with Donald Trump, apparently. Inland Surfer. I have a commercial driver's license. CBD can show up false positive on the random drug test I'm subjected to. The aches and pains from driving could use a little CBD, hoping things change federally. Yeah, that's messed up. They shouldn't be able to drug test for things that are legal anyway. Like marijuana. Okay, how incapacitating really is it? If you're swerving all over the road like Harold the Happy Hippie because you just smoked a pound of weed, that's a little bit different than if you took CBD oil and rubbed it on your joints. Those are not the same thing. It is not an intoxicant. People have this idea that anything extracted from marijuana plants of necessity must be massively mind-altering. No, that's not reality. Most of you probably already know this. Statistically speaking, at least half of you have at least tried marijuana, and a good 15-20% of you smoke it at least semi-regularly. And a handful of you smoke it constantly. Which is something, it's like, at some point it becomes a waste of time. Not saying that I don't think you have the right to do so, I really don't care. But it can be a time waster. You're sacking out on the couch, you could be doing something productive, but then you get, like, massively high or something. The best one is still Durban Poison. That and Lemon Haze and White Widow. Yes, the strains do hit differently. I've had experience with marijuana before. Lindsay, and 10% of us are smoking it while watching you. Yeah, take a hit. Jeremy the Porcelain Punisher Poopering. Weed is better than alcohol. Definitely better for you. It won't liquefy your liver. Yeah, Durban Poison, if I remember correctly, is pure sativa. And that gives sort of like a giggly rush. Lemon Haze does about the same thing. And then White Widow's a 50-50, and so it relaxes and stimulates at the same time. It's a very strange high, White Widow is. Back in college, back when I was at UVM, I had a bunch of White Widow, and I smoked quite a lot of it. And I was like laughing my ass off on the floor, like trying to grab the book, but I couldn't quite grab it, and I thought this was hilarious. Then I watched a bunch of black metal and soundboard pranks. Taco Woman Sandy Ravage. The problem with testing marijuana is that it stays in your system up to a month. Yeah, I know. So it's like, yeah, I had a joint when I was on vacation. Now I'm not allowed to drive a truck for your company because I smoked a joint 3 weeks ago. It's retarded. Spider Eternal. Jam and Bead needs more 5-pound bag options for their coffee, like the Costa Rica blend. Some of us have serious needs and want bulk savings. Have to bring that up to them. Yeah, that's a good idea. Turtles Toy Box. Why would I listen to weed reviews from someone who freaks out from smoking it? I don't, actually. Hence why I talk about the mushroom pills being neuroregenerative. For a very long time, I could not even smell marijuana without freaking out. I certainly couldn't smoke it. I could take like a hit, and I'd still feel kind of weird. More recently, not in totally recent terms, trust me, but more recently, yeah, I've noticed that, yes, I can smoke marijuana should I choose to do so. I'm not, but I can. Broken Prophet. New York State giving out CDLs to illegals. Yeah, that's a hilarious idea. There are states in which if you smoke a joint, you're not allowed to drive a truck, but if you don't speak English and you're illegally in the country, it's perfectly okay. Talk about priorities. Jeff. Hi, Sticks, long-time listener. I'm a believer in reincarnation. When the Earth explodes... Oh, there it goes. One day we'll reincarnate on Earth in the past or another planet in the future. Keep being awesome, my man. I believe generally in uncontrollable reincarnation, and I don't believe that we're the only sentient force in the universe. I think that's mathematically impossible. So I don't know where you'll be spit out next. Could be a space alien, but you won't conceive of yourself as a space alien because you won't remember the life that you had here. I don't believe in death the way that the average person, sees it. Jeremy the Porcelain Punisher Poopering. I love smoking weed and breeding fat married women. Yeah. No, weed is pretty great. Not gonna lie. Here's what we should be teaching, like when we try to keep kids like off mind-altering substances, because like teens, they shouldn't be smoking weed. They should be doing other shit. They're going to anyway, but we don't need to encourage it. What you do is you tell them, no, drugs aren't bad. Drugs are good. That's how you get addicted to them. No, heroin, I've never tried it, but heroin probably feels pretty great. And that's when it gets you. It feels so great that you want to do it again, and then you end up, in an alleyway with your pants pulled down and shit coming out of your ass, not knowing what happened last night. That's what we should be doing. Instead, they say, no, drugs hurt. Drugs terrible. Drugs evil monsters. But then they actually try them, and they're like, oh, this isn't that bad. What else were they lying to me about? You're actually encouraging kids to use drugs. The Napalm Brothers. Heroin is great after smoking crack. Yeah, I'll avoid that sort of thing. Here's another news story. Jack Daniels cuts off free cattle feed to Tennessee farmers after 45 years. Here is the nuanced take. Yay! Because I know that a lot of people are into the channel by my ability to do that instead of being very one-sided and trying to simply placate an echo chamber. This is a strange situation. On the one hand, I'm like, well, I mean, the farmers are being disenfranchised. Some of them are going to sell their land, their stock, and so forth because of this. And I like farms, and I like farmers very much. I wish that my state would do more to get out of the way of the farmers that are trying to farm the Champlain Valley. It would be nice to retain something more than tourist farms in the state. It is possible to do as well. Most of these farmers, you get an apple orchard, they just have people come in and pay to pick it themselves because there's no other way to make money, and then they sell them cheese and wine and stuff like that, or cider. Cider, by the way, made in Vermont, very good. Especially good if you're picking a Christmas tree out. Some of the places, they'll have like cider machines, and it's nice, hot, buttery cider. Really, really great. When you get in from the cold after grabbing your tree, you're probably going to want a cup of that stuff. And it's usually free. Some pretty good shit. Loved apple cider as a kid. I mean, I do now too, but as well as a kid. But on the other hand, though, can you really find a compelling argument to forcing the Jack Daniel's distillery to give away for free what it could get paid for? They're doing this with a biofuel company, actually, now. So the slop that was left over from the brewing process is, instead of it being fed to cows, it's going to be fed into machines and turned into a biofuel. That brings up another aspect of it, another layer. Biofuel is inefficient, generally speaking. It is very, you're putting energy in order to store energy to take it back out later. Every step of the way, you're losing efficiency. Personally, if I was running Jack Daniel's, I would just renew the cow contract. Clearly, they're making a shit ton of money. Jack Daniel's is so ubiquitous in the liquor industry, they have no risk of going out of business. They have no risk of destroying demand. The supply will always be necessary. If anything, they're probably going to have to expand in the future because it's a very, very popular liquor. It's one of the most popular whiskeys in the world. So I would think, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That would be my advice. They should come out and publicly say, okay, we were going to end it, but we care about the farmers and we want to be part of this community. Smooth things over. Don't go the way of Bud Light or something like that. Smooth things over and say, look, we're pro-farm. And then give a $1 million donation to like a local farm fund or something just to really drive the point home. You get free publicity. You're not losing money, quite clearly. This is a waste product. And then just give it to the farmers. That's what I would do. Or start charging a very small amount, like the shipping or something like that. Okay, there's going to be a marginal charge for the corn waste that you're feeding your cows. You're still paying, a penny on the dollar or something. So then you recoup. You still make a little extra money. And then you ingratiate yourself to the community. That's the way to do it. That's the way to do business. Mulgara, clank. So I sent that package with those books for Hans Hermann Holt to sign 2 days ago. 38 to send to Turkey and 90 to have it come back. Jesus Christ. Worth it, but still. Ouch. Lol. Damn, that's pretty steep for books. Mulgara, I'm going to be seeing my favorite stand-up comedian, Nick DiPaolo, tonight in Virginia. I'm so excited. Right-wing Boston wop with zero filter. He's hilarious. Not sure if I've seen any of his material. Have to look it up if you recommend it. Let's see. Kathleen Green. Sleepy P has the best crack. I think you mean Sleazy. His drugs are excellent too. By the way, I will be on with Sleazy P Martini on Rumble tonight. I believe it's slated for 10 p.m. Eastern. Leo Wolf the Red. Think Newsom is crazy enough to arrest feds wearing masks? He's got to know that he can't be president with only California and the rest of the country wants illegals deported. Yeah, he is crazy enough, which is much to his detriment. And much to our benefit, by the way. Broken Prophet. Do the cows get drunk off it? No. What they do is they process the grain and then the squeezings are distilled. But then you have all of this solid, well, semi-solid, like sloppy material left over. And it's the perfect feed for cows, actually. Mulgara, I will send you one of Nick's specials right now. He's the greatest living comic. Nice. Jeff Garman, are there any benefits with raw weed, not heated? Well, the leaves are edible. You can turn them into a salad. Just watch Cheech and Chong, man, if you don't believe me. And the buds can be turned into a tea, actually. I've known some people who have done that. Mulgara, Nick's also a regular on Crowder, which is fun. Nick's and Steven's dynamic is great. Yeah, I'll have to watch that. Dexter Spunky, I'm always sleeping in and missing stick streams. Wakey, wakey. That reminds me of that time that when Brexit was going through, there was that one poster was like, no, I'm going to be so pissed if I wake up and have to see Nigel Farage's face on TV. And then right after the vote was held, somebody posted a big ass picture, like a real close up of Nigel Farage's face, and it was like, wakey, wakey. And the dude's like, oh, fucking hell. That was great. Oh, I loved that. When there's political tumult, there will always be memes. And this makes life a little bit better. So yeah, I think that Jack Daniels should reverse decision on this one and just take a hit. I mean, you don't need the extra whatever you're going to make off the corn slop. You don't need it. You've got one of the biggest brands in the entire world for liquor. I think that you can probably just ingratiate yourself to the local community. Wikipedia's censorship is a threat to civilization itself. That comes from Larry Sanger. Of course, he's one of the founders of Wikipedia. And he's saying, look, basically it's just an amorphous network of left-wingers that are propagandizing. There's no entry for anyone else. I've had this problem myself. For several years, I did some basic Wikipedia editing. And as long as you're just editing out like a spelling error or making a minor correction for grammar or something, they don't care about that. Anyone can do that. And as long as it's a non-controversial issue, adding things in is relatively straightforward. It's relatively simple. Again, like the lifestyle of a baseball player, the scientific genus of a grasshopper, something like that. Something that nobody really would argue about. As soon as you get into politics, religion, sociology, elements of history, and things of that nature, all of a sudden it becomes, you go from basically a group of Greek philosophers sitting around discussing an issue. That's for the mundane stuff. As soon as you get into the serious stuff, especially if it impacts current things, especially political or religious in nature, all of a sudden it's more like watching a group of hominids throwing rocks at each other. That's basically what Wikipedia has become. And on the other end, then you have their Wikipedia oligarchy of people who are hand-chosen, who have the right views. And so, unfortunately, what happens is that AI crawls Wikipedia, and personally I think that AI programs should ignore Wikipedia explicitly and simply not refer to them at all, or to any site or page that has Wikipedia listed as a source. That would solve the problem, and Wikipedia would die as a result of that. Mulgara just sent a link to Nick's latest special. Thank you. Spider Eternal. FBI cuts all ties to Southern Poverty Law Center. LOL. Oh, the shitlibs are going to be so mad. Oh, this I've got to see. Oh yeah, 44 minutes ago. FBI cuts ties with civil rights group, my ass, Southern Poverty Law Center. Okay, guess what we're going to be talking about definitely tomorrow. I'm archiving that right off the bat. Thank you very much, Spider Eternal. Well, that's good news. Oh yes, we're also on P. Diddy Watch. Thank you, Lemon Curd. Has he been sentenced yet? Have they decided to ask him why he ran people across state borders to prostitute them and give them drugs? Yeah. 50 Cent trolls Sean Diddy Combs with letter to judge ahead of sentencing. I'm scared for my life. Some feuds now. This is great. I'll probably talk about this too. 50 Cent once again took shots at Sean Diddy Combs Thursday, this time trolling the disgraced mogul with a letter to Judge Aaron Subramanian. Looks almost like Submaranian. I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce it. One day before Diddy's sentencing, the 50-year-old rapper posted his letter to the judge on social media asking Judge Submarine to consider the safety of the general public before unleashing Diddy upon them. I've had an ongoing dispute with Puffy for 20 years. He is very dangerous. Multiple times I have feared for my life. I think you should consider the safety of the general public, Your Honor, upon unleashing him upon them. There hasn't been enough time for him to reform or make any adjustments, despite his trying to teach a class in there. Oh my god. What? Anyway, Diddy's only going to return to hiring more male sex workers and keeping most of the baby oil away from the general public. I didn't know that 50 Cent He then took a dig at Diddy over the infamous 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lube found in the Bad Boy Record founders' properties in Miami and Los Angeles during the Homeland Security raids. Oh, God. And 50 Cent is going to make me admire him. Oh, King of Biltong is here. That means we need a little snack. Oh, Anton, I had some of that very, very good pineapple jam earlier, actually, on some rye toast. It was really good. Why is all your food so good? The world may never know. Okay, Lemon. Yeah, we still don't know about the sentencing decision, but yeah, I'm definitely going to archive that too. That's I'm gonna trigger myself into laughing in the morning. That'll get me going. Celestial Southern Poverty Lie Center. Yeah, those people have been a thorn in the side of actual truth and reality, just like the ADL and a few others for a very long time. Reinhold Niebuhr, pineapple on rye? Come on. Oh, it's delicious, actually. Might have more later. There's nothing nasty about this. Actually, it's better than almost any other jam I've ever had. Delicious. Ah, Twisted Pear, a man of fellow taste. Pineapple jam would be good for cooking bone-in pork chops on a charcoal grill. That would work, yeah. Mama Pete, lol, Sticks won't talk to me. I will. It's just that you think that pineapple doesn't go on toast. Why not? You're turning into Razor Fist. Be careful. He will own your soul. Judge throws out lawsuit over Nirvana's album art featuring Naked Baby. You remember the iconic album, like the ultimate fucking 90s album, Nevermind? Oh, well, whatever, Nevermind. Like, man, yeah, whatever. That's basically the theme of the music. There was a picture, of course, on the front, picturing a baby in a swimming pool, sort of swimming after a dollar, which is on a hook. And this was meant to be a sort of a tongue-in-cheek reference to human materialism, greed, the worthlessness, basically, of modern society, etc., etc. And it was the typical, like, 90s sort of grunge slacker thing. And the individual depicted there, who is now, how old is he now? He's 34, his name is Eldon. And he sued. He said, basically, well, you owe me money because you ruined my life. Oh my God. As though anyone would have known the identity of the baby on the cover if you hadn't come out and filed your fucking lawsuit. You never had to acknowledge it. You were paid for it. Well, your parents were paid for it at the time. I'm assuming some of it was in trust. Now you're just seeking easy money. You were seeking a settlement. This is not child porn. If somebody considers this to be pornographic, that means there's something wrong with them. A picture of a baby who happens to be naked, like a baby butt or something like that, that's not porn. Anyone who gets turned on by that is a pedophile. So, what am I supposed to do? Like, some people have a foot fetish. Am I supposed to have to wear shoes all of the time if I go to the beach because somebody might get aroused by my feet? I mean, not that they would, because I got big hairy man feet, but yeah, whatever. Some people are into that sort of thing. I don't understand it. Whatever gets you off, I suppose. Is there really anyone who thinks that anyone seriously is beaten off to the Nevermind album cover? I mean, okay, never mind. I'll qualify that. I'm sure there have to be a handful of perverts out there who have, because there's some weird shit out there. But this isn't porn. This is just a baby. Who can get aroused by that? If someone's, severely ill in the head, I suppose. Other than that, no. I mean, it's a baby. I mean, you see people change their babies on a regular basis in public, and they're naked. And then sometimes they get up and they run. Toddlers, they get up and they run around and they're naked and stuff. Normal people see this as, haha, it's cute. It's hilarious because they're a little kid. They don't have any filter or anything like that. They're not constrained by the same sort of societal constraints as people who are older and know better. It's just a little kid. It's almost a symbol of innocence more than anything. If you can turn that into some perverted, warped sexual statement and consider that to be pornographic in nature, that's completely ridiculous. By the way, I mean, this dude's got a dick too. He can look in the mirror. He's still got a dick. It's just not a baby dick anymore. Maybe it is. Maybe that's why he's upset. Maybe he's got a baby dick. It never changed. It still looks the same, and that's why he was jilted. He was upset. Mulgera, remember the retard leftist who wrote the When Do We Kill Them article, all but endorsing murdering right-wingers? He's also made posts defending CP and bestiality. Shocker. I've noticed one weird thing. It seems, and I've written morbid stories, sickness and hell. Like, I write about sick shit all of the time, and it's meant to be fantasy. It's fiction. But some of these people are really, really invested in trying to defend bestiality. You know, Vouch, among other people. Destiny. Cam2425IA. Hey, Sticks, did you see that North Carolina Governor Stein sitting in that Irina's law bill? No, I didn't, actually. I'm not surprised, though. Yeah, I mean, ta-da, it's a baby. What do babies do? They shit and piss themselves constantly. Then they have to be changed. While they're being changed, they're naked. Wow. It's so enthralling, according to the 3 people in the entire world who consider that a good thing. Gnostic Man, I have it on good that some Marines are indeed being deployed to Portland. I hope I know one of them. Antifa about to get warped. Good. King of Biltong, I'd like to thank everyone for the awesome support you showed us after the storm hit us. We will keep serving you equally online and soon in store after we reopen in Sunset soon. Code STICKS for 10% off. Get the Biltong. Mulgera, I mean to kind of defend Vouch. He is a fucking wildebeest, so of course he'd want to fuck his own species. Lol. Yeah, is it bestiality? Like, if somebody looks kind of like, you know, a deformed dog, as some people do, if they fuck a dog, is it still bestiality? I'm being facetious. Skippy, Bobby and I are Tarl's favorite clankers. He won't admit it, though. I love all of my clankers. I mean, seriously, if you're considering that picture to be alluring or enticing or anything like that, that speaks volumes about you. It doesn't speak volumes about the average person, though. It's like most people aren't into shit. Well, if I post a picture of shit online, some people are for some reason into that sort of thing. But it doesn't mean that the picture of shit is pornographic. It's a picture of a turd floating around in a bowl. That's basically the same thing here. No reasonable average person finds it alluring. It's not pornographic. It's not presented as being suggestive in any way. And the judge indeed agrees with this. Trump sets Sunday evening deadline for Hamas to agree to Gaza deal, warning all hell if they don't. I don't want all hell to break loose in Gaza, because there are still civilians there. So I definitely would not welcome any direct U.S. involvement. I think that this is more a cautionary warning, like, hey, Netanyahu is chomping at the bit here. If you can sign on to this deal, we can prevent Israel from doing anything really further. I think it's more cautionary than anything else. Although the tone of it is quite clearly lopsidedly pro-Israel. Let's face it, the U.S. administration is generally pro-Israel. Although I would note that the Trump administration several times has tried to rein in Netanyahu and said, cut it out. And Netanyahu doesn't listen, but at the very least an attempt is being made. That's more than we've seen from most administrations, really. The only other administration that really ever did that was that one off-the-cuff comment by Obama saying basically to calm down. They didn't listen to that either, because they act with impunity. I do not believe in funding Israel. I do not believe in funding Palestine. I do not believe in sending troops in. I don't even believe at this point we should even be goddamn involved. Let them handle it. Not my problem, not my continent. Reinhold, I'm worried Trump is morphing into a neocon warhawk. No. I'll tell you exactly what he's doing with Hegseth and the realignment of the military and so forth. Peace through strength. We've done it before, we can do it again. The idea is that if your enemy is too scared to attack you, then generally bad things don't happen and you don't have to respond. Simple as. It's what I would do. If I were commander-in-chief, one of the first things that I would do is I would realign the military myself. I'd get rid of the no-bid contracts and take all of that money and what wasn't given back to the taxpayers would be used to improve conditions for troops, improve training, better equipment, more innovation. And then I would sit on that extremely large, very powerful military and use it only reluctantly and only if absolutely necessary. In any other situation, I would say, look, I'm going to go in there. I'm commander-in-chief, right? I can go into the testing facility for the military rations, and I will personally handpick through them and taste them and see which are good and which are not good, in consultation with dudes that have been out in the field eating nothing but MREs for 3 days, then not taking a shit, and then taking the best shit of their lives. There was somebody commented once, this was years ago, and they said that he and a buddy were out like camping and they ate nothing but MREs, and it stopped them up for like almost a week, and they were bleeding poo. And then I saw this is a funny one. There was a post on 4chan once, and I don't know if this is true because everything on there is fiction, but a dude was posting he had gone out hunting with one of his friends, and they had a bunch of military rations, and that was basically all they ate for like a solid week. And he hadn't taken a shit. But then he ate something else, something fibrous or something, and it, started flowing. And he was like, holy shit, I have to take a shit. And he goes out into the woods a little bit, and he bends down to take a shit. And there was... This is hilarious. I'm sorry, this is one of my favorite memes. I've got it in my meme folder somewhere. And he bends down to take a shit, right? He squats down, and a bear lumbers out of the woods and just stares at him, and all of a sudden he just takes a massive-ass blast of shit right in the bear's direction. And the bear attempted to flee and hit its head on a tree trunk on the way and like bashed itself in the head and then ran off. I would love to believe that that's real. If that story is real, then my God, I need more moments like that in my life. That would be hysterical. Salty Dog. Never eat any chili con carne MREs. They will almost kill you in the bathroom. I don't know. I didn't have I tried the chili con carne. It was pretty good. It was alright. I would put it in the middling category. That is way up from the white chicken chunks, or supposedly, I've never tried a vomlet. I wish they would go back to making them just for fun. Patch Christ, yes, I have thousands of memes. Mulgera, imagine how traumatized that bear must be. A nuclear shit blast from a human? Nope, nightmare fuel. Bye, Anton, by the way. Thank you for the Vegemite Anton mentioned. We've got a duty. Just saying. Delicious. Wonder how that'd be like alongside the pineapple on toast. A little salty, a little sweet. Probably slurry it together a little bit. That might actually work. Mike Oglesby, everything is good except the damn pizza MRE. The pizza MRE actually I liked, for what it is. It's better than, like elementary school cafeteria pizza. Now, the worst one is white chicken chunks. Why they've maintained that on the menu is completely beyond me. I literally cannot fathom why they would continue it. Remove white chicken chunks and get, try making a General Tso's chicken, or something like that. Or a sesame chicken, or pineapple chicken, coconut chicken, any other form of chicken other than that one. The only 0 out of 10 currently on the menu listing. Dexter Spunky. Sticks doesn't need weed. He already thinks like a stoner. Yeah, white chicken chunks are the worst. Most of them, though, are really good, actually. And then there's, the chicken noodle salad. That one's, pretty, yeah. I mean, more edible than the white chicken chunks, though. Yeah, they should introduce more menus, actually. Yeah, if I were president of the United States after reforming the military's economic side, I would personally take over MRE testing. That would be funny. Based Acid Fox, you are going to hell with the usurers. I don't know if you're talking to me or some other user. Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, apparently on Sunday, if Hamas doesn't belly up to the bar, there might be a little problem. Oh, just a second here. Let me see. It's not there. Ah, we'll have to find it later. Never mind. I did have a couple of other things that I wanted to be able to report on, but they're not there. Salty Dog. I've seen some new MRE tasting vids, and they actually look really good now. Yeah, I've tried some of the modern MRE menus as well. They're definitely better than the last iteration. Again, there are only a few problems. The vegetable crackers they used to have held together really good. Now they've got the vegetable crackers, the ones that are herby. They taste a lot better. They taste really good, but for some reason they're much more crumbly. So you'll open it up, and when you open the actual foil on the outside, you'll get like a bunch of cracker crumbs. That's fine if you've got an entree that you're going to like crush the crackers up into, but if you want to use the spread on it, it's very difficult to actually spread it and keep them intact. That's one problem. Another problem is they seem to have phased out those little packets with the herb mix, and it had various herbs and spices in it. That was really good, and it takes up almost no room. Give them the goddamn herb packet. Another thing is they no longer have those little mini jars of Tabasco sauce. Those should definitely be in the MREs too. Look, we're talking a very marginal price increase, like beyond exceptionally marginal, like what, a nickel per MRE, just for those few things. And then redesigning the vegetable crackers wouldn't take that much effort. Take the basic cracker and put herbs in it. What more could you possibly ask for? That would be cheap, be easy. Based Acid Fox, I'll believe Trump is doing some good when food prices aren't absurd. That will take time. You have to be patient. It's going to take a long time to undo the damage of the last administration. It's going to take a very long time. Things are improving. I agree with you, they need to improve far further. But Rome was not built in a day. Things have stabilized and are now going in generally the right direction. Mulgera, I'm not a fan of how deferential Trump is to Israel. He's the most Zionist president we've ever had. No, not by a long shot. Even more than LBJ. Kind of hard to be anti-war and pro-Zionism. I think that W was the most Zionistic, actually. At least Trump is willing to criticize Netanyahu. Like he said, don't do this. Netanyahu ignores him. And then he gets a chance to say, well, I tried to tell you so. Wash his hands of the situation, I guess. Mulgera, and I have no issue with Jews. I love Murray Rothbard and Ludwig von Mises. They're heroes of mine, but being so deferential to a state that isn't America isn't great. Yeah, I know. We need to realign our diplomacy. Absolutely agreed. That being said, the fact that I'm critical of Israel and many of the things that its government is doing does not make me side anymore with Palestine. I just don't care. It's not my continent. Really, it's the governments of both countries are retarded. Hamas is retarded, Netanyahu's a retard. The Knesset's run by retards. I think we should just stay out of it. I have no skin in the game. Why should I send money over there? Why can't I keep it in my wallet? I could do something better with it that wouldn't involve killing people. Sounds like a win-win. Not my problem. I'm not here to rein in the Palestinians or the Israelis. I don't give a fuck. I just don't give a fuck. Yeah, so I guess we're going to have to talk about 50 Cent Sean Combs tomorrow, along with the FBI with the SPLC here. They've cut ties with them. This is, by the way, major news. And this follows right on the heels, by the way, of the ADL removing its hate glossary. Interesting. It's almost like the timing is not coincidental. I have a feeling that it's not. I have a feeling they're looking into the current iteration of government and saying, oh shit, you mean we're not going to get away with our bullshit anymore? Well, we might want to make a change. Not poke the bear too much. Yeah, and the Senate Dems expected to block GOP funding bill. Real surprise there. Combs in jail class for inmates highlighted by defense. Okay, so he a good boy. He going to church getting he life together. That seems to be their defense. And he was a good father. He never trafficked any of his children or anything like that. Mulgera, I'm with you 100%. I loathe the state of Israel, not Jews, not the average Israeli. We need to go back to embracing the Monroe Doctrine. I don't want to be paying for any of this shit. Exactly. Yeah, let's keep to our own hemisphere. Europe can keep its own hemisphere. Supposedly they don't need us, so, Europeans, they can take care of themselves. Several of the countries have nukes anyway, so nobody's really going to fuck with them. We should trade and have diplomacy and travel and so forth with everyone. Yeah, even the commie countries. And attack nobody unless offered offense. Unless somebody's attacking us, we have no reason. But we do need to maintain a very beefy military. Twice as beefy as now. Float 5, 6, 7 more aircraft carriers. Fuck it. Double the number of A-10s. Get 1,000 more F-16s, too. Shitheads. And then arm the militia more. Give everyone machine guns and stuff. Nobody's gonna fuck with us. The best offense is a good defense in the case of militia activity. Now people have devolved into talking about Jews and eating snails and France in chat. And the SPLC, of course. Yeah, the SPLC is basically just a grifting organization. It's sort of like, imagine an organization was created with clonal genetic tissue from Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson. You would have the SPLC. Mulgera, we should make Lizzo our next aircraft carrier. To be fair, and some of you will say, well, yeah, but she's a leftoid, so you'll refuse to respect her. I can respect the fact that she's lost a shit ton of weight. She did the positive thing. She self-improved. Hey, you're taking Clanker advice now. Respect, I may not give a shit about your music or your political views, but you have self-improved. Excellent. There were some leftoids once she went on her weight loss journey, and this was fascinating to me. All of a sudden, she goes from being like the prodigy. She's playing like, which president was it that had that flute there? I can't remember which president it was. She was playing his flute or something, John Adams or some shit. And she was like a hero to people on the left. Well, she's fat positive. She's healthy at any weight. And then she broke down and, basically left social media. But then she lost a shit ton of weight. And now she looks healthy. Give her respect where respect is due. She self-improved. John Adams' magical flute. Yeah, or whoever's flute it was. I can't remember. Yeah, what's Lizzo at now? Because, I'm not gonna... Yeah, she looks totally different than she did before. Holy shit, yeah, she looks way different than she did before. How much fucking weight did she lose? Yeah, she's still like, she's got the thickness, but she's no longer obese. Not even close. Yeah, good for her. Everyone should do that. Don't give a shit about their politics or the music. Mulgera, leftoids spurged out when Lana Del Rey lost weight. They did the same for Lizzo because Lizzo's blood type ain't puddin' anymore. Yeah, it was funny with Lana Del Rey. I think Marilyn Manson came out and joked that her name was Lasagna Del Rey when she was at her largest. I thought that was funny. I'm Team Marilyn Manson on that one, absolutely. You can probably tell I'm more of the Marilyn Manson fan type than the Lana Del Rey fan type. Just saying. Although I will say, she cute. No, but Lizzo, it looks like she lost, 100 pounds or something like that. Had to have been close to that. So, there's a difference between being chubby or a bit overweight and being, like, morbidly obese. She took it to heart. She could have shut down, and when people were trolling her, she could have just dipped into the ice cream to assuage her sadness. Instead, she said, you know what, I'm going to prove these fuckers wrong, and she went on a treadmill. She wins. Yeah, the haters can suck themselves, I guess. Doesn't mean you like her politics. Doesn't mean you like her music. I certainly don't. But at the very least, give somebody credit when they have self-improved. That's the way to keep them self-improving, giving them positive affirmation. Green Text Pro, I accidentally peed on the admin control panel over at clankers.net. Can you imagine what it's like, too, like, when you huff and puff going across the room because you're like 400 pounds or something, and then you lose, like, a significant proportion of that weight. It must be like having literally weight lifted off of you in more ways than one. So yeah, I'm not going to Chairdolph Sittler. If Styx was younger, you think he'd care about Goral World posting Andy Six's logs? I support Andy Six's fine logs. They're of good craftsmanship. Ann and Heather. Lizzo is still 100 pounds overweight. Yeah, but she's not 250 pounds overweight, so I would say that's a remarkable achievement, actually. It's very rare that somebody attains that level of weight loss at all. Although I've had several people, they've taken my advice to mind. I tell them, cut out a vice, build a skill, try to improve yourself. And I get like before and after photos sometimes from people. They're like, hey, I took your advice and I really got, into like gym and stuff like that. And you see, it's unrecognizable in some of these cases. And it de-ages a person too. You don't realize what that extra metabolic material, that fat and shit that you're storing up, all the toxins in it, you don't realize how much damage it's doing to your body. Bone Score. Hi, Styx. My son saw me watching you. My son says hi and remember to belch to your highest joy. Hello, Bone Score's son. Belch to your highest joy. Burp. Mulgera, remember that fat rapper who was literally denied a Lyft ride because of concerns about the shocks? Well, she literally settled with Lyft. The Glacier got money for Lyft for being fat. Yeah, it's more like, hey, you can lose weight. Dabu3. Tomorrow I'm having a phone call debate with my brother and sister over various topics, and the one I will be defending is RFK Jr. I'm going to watch your old vids on him to prepare for the debate. That'll be easy. Just point out, thalidomide and other things, the cigarette ads back in the 60s, sponsored by your local physician. Yeah, the food pyramid from the FDA, among other things. The government has done a great deal of damage to people's health. Jensen, isn't Mutland a Spanish-speaking country now? No. I believe that I am speaking English. Mama Pete, well, fuck this. I'm gonna go listen to Machiavelli. Senor Jensen. No habla español, senor. Anyways, I'm going to go offline here. Of course, tomorrow I don't live stream. We'll be back on Monday with the next live stream. I thank you to everyone who tuned in today. And I've still got the 50 Cent trolling and the FBI SPLC thing. I'm sure there'll be more updates about that. So I'll have to go back to the news in the morning for tomorrow's videos. But I'm going to go eat something tasty. Probably more toast with the pineapple jam, actually, because that was really good. And then I've got a few other things to do. And then I'm sacking out for the afternoon. Really, I just want to relax. Also, I got to have my phone repaired because my phone took a little bit of a hit. In fact, I don't even know where it is right now. I think I've got it plugged in the bedroom. Whoops. Yeah, so I've got to get that, the screen fixed, I believe. So, yeah, that's about all. Peace out.